presents a new upcoming class. Stay tuned. Sacred Bonds by Darrell Abdullah Kirk. Yes, Sacred Bonds, navigating the depths of Muslim matrimony and the family. You don't want to miss this one. Please stay tuned. Streaming on all major platforms right here on Sunnahfollowers.net.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salamullah, wa rasulullah. Welcome to our class entitled Sacred Bonds. This is our series on marriage that's taken from the book written by my student, Brother Darrell. This is the book, Brother Darrell Abdullah Kirk. This is called The Sacred Bonds, Navigating the Depths of Muslim Matrimony and the Family. And you can order this book by going to Amazon. The book only costs $13. The book is only $13, guys. And a lot of you say that you really are enjoying how I'm teaching this class. Show how much you enjoy by purchasing the book. And also, I want to remind everybody, don't forget, you know, a lot of you ask me, Sister Layla, what is something I can do? What are some good deeds that I can do that'll bring me closer to Allah, you know, and also be a barakah, a blessing for me when I'm in the grave? Dawah, sharing the knowledge of Islam. There's no gift better than the gift of knowledge of Allah. There's nothing better than having understanding of what your purpose in life is. So please, guys, support this dawah effort. Remember, we are a nonprofit organization. Oh, yeah. You know, any donations you make does not go in anyone's pocket here. Independent woman, you know, it goes to pay for the server. We have our expenses total over $2,000 a month. So please support us. And there, that little ticker there, y'all see the ticker? You can Cash App us at Sunnahfollowers is right there, or you can Zelle. Zelle is the best way to go because Zelle will go from your checking account into our checking account without any fees being attached to it. Or if you want to use a credit card, because a lot of us do, you know, we ain't got no cash, but put it on a credit card, pay it later, you know, before the interest is due. That's what everybody seems to be doing. You can go to PayPal me /Sunnahfollowers, you know, and put it on a credit card or whatever. Or you can scan the QR code that's right there on the top left-hand side. And that way it'll take you right to PayPal me. All right. So I just wanted to get that in there because I forgot to remind everybody that we need donations. And that's ongoing charity. You will get the reward, whatever reward Allah is giving me and the other people here who teach, and the books, the people that wrote the books, you will get part of that reward too. And also for any Muslim on this planet who listens to any of our lectures and walks away with one word of knowledge, you will get rewarded for that too. May Allah bless you all. So let's get to the topic today. We are going to be covering chapter 8 of this wonderful book. Last week when we met, we talked about how it's hard to live and maintain the sanctity of marriage in Islam when we're living in a non-Islamic environment, an environment where marriage has become obsolete almost. Here in America, people don't get married anymore. They just live together. I tell you guys, I used to, before I retired 3 years ago, I used to work with a woman who was the same age as me. And she had 3 children, and all 3 of her children had 3 different fathers, which ain't no big deal. I mean, I asked her, I said, subhanAllah, I said, when's the last time, how long you been divorced? She said, I've never been married, Layla. I said, you've never been married. I said, you got 3 kids. She said, welcome to the real world. She said, where you been, Layla? I said, I've lived a sheltered life. I said, I've been Muslim all my life. We don't believe in, procreating out of marriage. I told her, my God, you're 60 years old. I told her, you're 60 years old and you've never been married. She said, no, I've never been married. I live with a guy. So I've been with my boyfriend for 20 years. I said, you've been shacking up with a dude for 20 years? I said, you've been fornicating for 20 years. And she looked at me. I said, are you a Christian? She said, yes. I said, isn't that against your religion too, to fornicate? I said, isn't that one of the 10 commandments? Thou shalt not fornicate. And she said, yeah. She said, but I'm a Christian, but you're right. And then she put her head down and she said, Layla, I never thought of it before. She said, I never thought like this before. I said, you're 60 years old and you're still fornicating. I said, you're almost dead. You're like me. We almost dead. I said, that doesn't bother you? And then she said, when you say it like that, it does. She said, you're right. I need to get married. I said, yes, you do. Subhanallah, that just shows the world that we live in is this society. The American society, they don't get married. People have never been married, but they got kids and shacking up. They die with a boyfriend. I mean, I can't imagine it, but subhanAllah, that's the world that we live in today. And it's hard for us as Muslims to maintain our Islamic values, our dignity, our principles when we're the only one that's getting married. They look at you and say, nobody gets married anymore. Oh, yes, some people do. The Muslims do. That's a major sin. Thou shalt not commit fornication or adultery. Oh my God, the 10 commandments is scary. Okay, so today what we're going to do is speak about the effects of it. Last week we talked about how the women's America is a society of change. Women have rights. The lines have become blurred. A woman has the right to be a man. Women have taken on a responsibility of manhood thanks to feminism. We talked about how feminism started off in America as a good idea because it was about raising women up to the status where they could have their own money, rights that Allah already gave us as Muslims. That's why this feminist movement, these Arab women who began this, and I'm going to say they out of Egypt, my homeland, these Arab women who began this feminist march, this feminist movement, they're going to have to answer to Allah for that, because Allah raised us up and gave us rights in the 6th century that no other females ever had. So what are you looking for? Here in America, women just got the right to vote in the 50s. Here it is in America. Women just recently in the 70s is when the laws were passed allowing women to establish credit in their own name. It wasn't until the 70s that America passed the laws allowing women to use their own name and not take on the name of their husbands. These are rights that we've already had and always had as Muslim women. I don't take on the name of no man. I keep the name of my father. SubhanAllah, I am who I am. I am not him. I am not of him that way. I have the right as a Muslim woman to own my own property. I have the right as a Muslim woman, to have my own money and spend it how I wish. I have the right as a Muslim woman to be heard too, to make decisions in the family. These are all rights that Allah gave us as Muslim women. But here we see the Kafir women wanting to take it to another level. They want the right to be men, to be viewed the same way. we view a man. I mean, so we talked about that. And then we talked about as a result, there's always cause and effect. As a result of the feminist movement that began here, the men have began their movement too. The Me Too, what is that? Me Too, Me Now, or whatever the men got, the red pill, the blue pill. And believe it or not, we talked about how even Muslim men have joined the blue pill, red pill movement. So today what we're going to do is discuss chapter 8 of this book. What is the result? Because of all this feminism and maleism, we have a gender war going on here in society. And let's put the PowerPoint up about that. In fact, let me see if let me make it a bit better. So here we go. Gender wars. This is what we're going to be speaking about today because of how the women are demanding certain rights just for them, and the men are demanding rights for them. We have what's called the gender wars. And this is chapter 7 of the book. Let's see what Brother Abdullah Kirk has to say about these wars. He begins by saying the term gender wars, it encapsulates the intense and often, why is he using big words in his book? Y'all remind me to get on him. United Kingdom. This is American English, not these type of words, Brother Abdullah Kirk, not for American English. The term gender wars encapsulates the intense and often polarized debates and conflicts surrounding gender-related issues that have been unfolding in many Western societies. In other words, what he's basically saying is because of the women demanding their rights, men demanding their rights, we now have a debate and conflict that's going on. Okay? Women are no longer fulfilling the roles that they used to fulfill in society. If you guys can remember, back in the 1950s, we had shows like Leave It to Beaver. How many of you remember that? Where the man went out to work, the women stayed at home and took care of the children and cooked and cleaned and was active in the PTA. You know, those were nice times too back then. Society was much more calmer back then. We had less crime back then too. Children grew up happier. You know, very few children came from broken homes. In fact, if you came from a broken home, you was looked at as being strange. Well, because of all these gender wars, you know, women have abandoned their roles as mothers. The men, remember, because of the blue pill and the red pill, and the Me Now movement, men are no longer the providers and maintainers and protectors as they used to be. And not only that, we now have the LGBTQ community. Women want the right to be a man completely. Men want the rights to turn into women, you know, and then we got the transgender bathrooms and the open bathrooms and sports teams. You know, I want the right to play football, even though I'm a girl. I want to be on a high school football team. I don't care about being damaged physically because I'm equal. So look at what's happened. The world has become topsy-turvy. Topsy-turvy. You know, everybody wants to be acknowledged. Me too. Me too. That's what we see now. And that's what the Me Too movement is. The Me Too movement is a movement that attempts to bring to light the prevalence of sexual harassment, sexual assault, unequal pay. I mean, come on, we see it a lot in the industry now of entertainment. Look how many movie stars, Brooke Shields, she's come out with her book about how she was forced to make the movie Pretty Baby, and she was forced to do nude scenes at 10 years old, and how when she made the Blue Lagoon, she was forced, you know, to fake sexual relations and stuff when she didn't even know what it was. And then when she turned 20, she was sexually raped by one of the producers. We hear all this coming out now, okay? And then we got false accusations too. We got false accusations being made too against people. You don't give me the role I want in Hollywood, I'm going to accuse you of sexually molesting me. And then we got the men activists too. The men activists arguing for more attention to issues that affect them, such as how so many men have been stressed out at their jobs that they commit suicide. You know, they're afraid to work because people have meltdowns and all of that. So the world is all upside down, you know. And as a result of these gender wars, we have political and cultural wars going on too. You got African Americans who've always complained, because it's really true, disparate treatment on the job. African Americans getting paid less than a white American. Now you got the Native Americans raising saying about they don't want you using that term Indian anymore because it's degrading. I mean, it's just become a topsy-turvy war with cultural representations wanting to be seen, political representations wanting to be heard, and all of that. And this is what you expect, guys, in a society that doesn't believe in a law. We have to understand that Islam is a beautiful way of life. And what makes it a beautiful way of life is Allah. The laws, the rules, the guidelines for us have been defined by Allah. Allah, in his wisdom, has designed the family structure to function harmoniously by giving men their roles, giving women their roles, and by breaking down what the rights of each are. For example, Allah tells us it's the role of the man to be the provider, the maintainer, and the protector of the family, because Allah has given him physical strength over the two sexes. And on the other hand, it's the role of the woman to guard in her husband's absence, which he would have her guard, to rear the children, to protect the property, to make sure the bills get paid, while the husband's out working to make the money. If it means working 3 jobs, it is her job to make sure the checks are written so everything doesn't get cut off. So Islam set guidelines for us. And by Allah doing this, you can see that it's not about a gender war. Allah created us of different genders, but we complement each other. We're not equal physically. We're equal mentally. We're equal spiritually, but physically we're different, and we complement each other. And as Muslims living in a non-Islamic society, we have to keep that in mind, okay? We have to recognize that true stability and true fulfillment of the family can only be attained if we adhere to the laws and guidance of Allah, and we embrace our roles as women and men within the family structure the way Allah told us to embrace it. When we try to mix the secular world with Islam, we end up with chaos. As Muslims, we have to live in this society, but stay in our lane. Follow our rules. Know that Allah set the rules for us. because the consequences of involving ourselves in the secular arguments, the secular debates, and the secular rules causes us to end up like many of us have become, broken homes. Look at the children. Muslim kids growing up in broken homes, turning to drugs. Your daughters are having sex out of wedlock, coming home with babies, not just one baby, 2, 3, by 2, 3 different men, never been married. Just like my co-worker, never been married. And they look at you like you're crazy because you tell them that they committed a sin. They're like, what sin? Everybody else is doing it. So again, it's all about implementing wala wal bara. We're going to have to distance ourselves from those society debates, those society arguments that contradict Islam. You know, I find it sickening when I look on the internet and see famous Muslim speakers, some of these young famous brothers speaking about the red pill and blue pill. We don't have nothing to do with that garbage. Are you crazy? We got to know when to hold and when to fold. Just like I talked about in our 6 o'clock class, you know, we don't get involved in presidential elections because Allah has already told us they will never have our interests at heart. They will never listen to anything we have to say. The same with this other stuff too, this gender wars. What Allah has defined our roles for us. Allah has told us what our rights are too. So why should a Muslim even comment on a blue pill, a red pill, feminism, and all of that nonsense? Okay? Again, the Quran and Sunnah emphasize the importance of the family. The Quran and Sunnah emphasizes the rights and roles of the family members. And the Quran and Sunnah emphasizes the importance of modesty and protecting the family unit. So those debates on gender in our society, they go against that. They blur the line with Islamic principles. So again, none of us should partake in that. And so a lot of you ask me, well, why is it that the Arab women are the ones raising all this saying about feminism? Well, it just goes to show how Islam has decreased in those countries, like Allah said it would. Allah already told us Islam would rise in the West and fall in the East. Y'all see it happening. Don't get involved in that crap. Okay? So that's basically what summarizes chapter 7.